owned 93 Rolls Royces. He built a utopian city in the American desert. His followers committed the largest bioterror attack in US history, yet millions still follow his teachings today. This is the extraordinary, controversial, and complex story of Osho Rajneesh, a spiritual teacher who challenged every boundary, broke every rule, and left a legacy that continues to divide the world. Chapter 1: The Rebellious Beginning. Birth and Early Childhood. On December 11, 1931, in a tiny village called Kuchwada in Madhya Pradesh, India, a child was born who would one day shake the foundations of spirituality worldwide. Named Chandra Mohan Jain, who would later become known as Rajneesh, then Bhagwan Shri Rajneesh, and finally simply Osho. His story begins unusually. Unlike most Indian children of his time, young Rajneesh spent his first 7 years not with his parents, but with his maternal grandparents. This arrangement would prove crucial. His grandmother gave him something rare: complete freedom. No imposed education, no restrictions, no religious conditioning. According to those who knew him, the young Rajneesh was unlike any other child. He would spend hours gazing at the moon and stars, his face illuminated with a serene smile. He explored forests on horseback, asking profound questions that adults struggled to answer. Where does the river begin? What sustains the colors of flowers? What lies beyond the horizon? The rebellious student. When Rajneesh finally entered school at age 7, he became legendary for all the wrong reasons, or perhaps the right ones, depending on your perspective. He obtained a copy of the education code and would drag teachers to the headmaster if they punished him for offenses not specifically mentioned in the code. Where does it say I cannot look out of the window at the beauties of nature instead of at the dull, lifeless blackboard? He would challenge. He spent more time standing outside classroom as punishment than inside them. But this wasn't mindless rebellion. It was the beginning of a philosophy. From his earliest years, Osho refused to believe or accept anything he had not experienced for himself. His mother would later recall how other parents would complain about Rajneesh's influence on their children. He is like Krishna, they would say. He leads and the other boys follow. Whatever he says, the other boys will do. Death and the search. Two deaths in his childhood profoundly shaped the young seeker. At age 7, his beloved grandfather died. Osho later said, I learned much in that moment of his silence. I started on a new search, a new pilgrimage. Then at 15, his childhood girlfriend Shashi died from typhoid. This loss plunged him into a deep preoccupation with death that would last throughout his youth. But from this darkness, a burning question emerged. If life ends in death, what is the meaning of existence? Chapter 2: The Enlightenment. The Seeker's Journey. Throughout his teenage years and early 20s, Rajneesh experimented relentlessly with spiritual practices. He explored breath control, yogic exercises, meditation, fasting, the occult, and hypnosis. He read the writings of Marx and Engels, earning the label of communist at school. He studied mystical spirituality, questioning every priest and holy man he could find, regardless of their religion. He practiced all 112 meditation techniques from the ancient Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. In one infamous incident, he spent a moonless night in a temple known for venomous snakes, allowing them to crawl over his body, a test of fear and surrender. The night everything changed. Then came March 21, 1953. Rajneesh was 21 years old, a philosophy student at a college in Jabalpur. 7 days before this date, something remarkable happened. He stopped. After years of intense seeking, struggling, and working on himself, he simply gave up. In his own words, a moment comes when you see the whole futility of effort. You have done all that you can do, and nothing is happening. You have done all that is humanly possible. Then what else you can do? In sheer helplessness, one drops all search. And on that fateful night, under a Maulshree tree in garden in Jabalpur, everything exploded. The day the search stopped, the day I was not seeking for something, the day I was not expecting something to happen, it started happening. Osho later recalled, a new energy arose out of nowhere. It was not coming from any source, it was coming from nowhere and everywhere. It was in the trees and in the rocks and the sky and the sun and the air. It was everywhere. At 21, Rajneesh attained enlightenment, what he would call an experience of your consciousness unclouded by thoughts, emotions, sentiments, an atomic explosion, a light which has no source and no cause. Chapter 3. The teacher emerges. From professor to provocateur. After his enlightenment, Rajneesh continued his studies, earning his MA in philosophy from Sagar University in 1955. In 1957, he became a professor of philosophy at Raipur Sanskrit College and later at the University of Jabalpur. But this was no ordinary professor. His radical ideas constantly brought him into conflict with institutional authorities. For 9 years, he taught at the university while traveling extensively throughout India, giving public discourses to crowds of 60,000 to 70,000 people. He created a wave of spiritual awakening across the country. His message was revolutionary. He rejected organized religion while embracing spirituality. He spoke openly about sexuality, challenging centuries of religious repression. His first major book, From Sex to Superconsciousness, created enormous controversy in conservative India. The Pune Ashram. In 1974, Osho established his first ashram in Pune, in the Koregaon Park area. This became the headquarters of his movement, drawing followers from across the world, including some unexpected ones. Bollywood actor Vinod Khanna, filmmaker Mahesh Bhatt, and highly profiled individuals from around the globe flocked to sit at his feet. The Pune Ashram was unlike any traditional spiritual center. It combined meditation with therapy groups, Eastern spirituality with Western psychology. Osho developed his famous active meditation techniques, most notably the dynamic meditation. Dynamic meditation became his signature technique, 5 stage, 1 hour process involving chaotic breathing, emotional catharsis, jumping and shouting the mantra Who, complete stillness, and finally celebration through dance. It was meditation for modern people. Osho argued modern people were too restless to simply sit in silence. His teachings were synthesis of Zen, Sufism, Tantra, Western philosophy, but always with a twist. Irreverent, humorous, and designed to shatter conventional thinking. Chapter 4. The American Dream. A Journey to Oregon. In May 1981, Osho left India for the United States, officially for medical treatment, traveling on a tourist visa. But the plan was far more ambitious. His secretary, Ma Anand Sheila, a formidable woman who had become his chief lieutenant, had purchased a massive 64,000-acre ranch in the Oregon desert for 5.75 million US dollar. This was the big muddy ranch near Antelope, Oregon, and here Osho and his followers, called sannyasins or Rajneeshis, would attempt to build nothing less than a utopia, building Rajneeshpuram. Within 3 years, what had been an empty rural property transformed into a city of up to 7,000 people. They called it Rajneeshpuram. The sannyasins, dressed in distinctive orange and later red robes, built roads, townhouses, a fire department, police force, restaurants, shopping malls, a 4,200-foot airstrip, a bus system, sewage treatment plants, a reservoir, and even secured their own zip code 97741. It was an astonishing achievement. A fully functioning modern city rising from the desert, built entirely by devoted followers working 100 to 120 hours per week. Rolls Royce grew. And then there were the cars. Osho arrived in America and proclaimed, "I am the Messiah America has been waiting for." His first Rolls Royce, a Corniche, was modified into a bulletproof limousine with hidden gun compartments, tear gas canisters, jewels, a TV, VCR, and telephone. But one wasn't enough. Osho's teachings embraced wealth and materialism as spiritual, a radical departure from traditional gurus who preached renunciation. A trip in a Rolls Royce is a ride in a tranquility that compares with the peace by Buddha, he once said. Wealthy followers from around the world, European royalty, heirs to the Learjet and Baskin Robbins fortunes, Hollywood connections, began gifting him Rolls Royces as donations. His collection exploded to 93 vehicles. The Silver Spirit and Silver Spur models, many with wild custom paint jobs. Every day, Osho would drive one of these luxury cars through Rajneeshpuram in what became known as drive-by blessings. Followers lined the streets, tossing flowers at his passing Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce engineers even visited the commune to maintain the extraordinary fleet. The mainstream media labeled him the sex guru and the guru of the rich. Critics were appalled. But Osho argued he was making a point, exposing people's hypocrisy about wealth and spirituality.